Work. We go to work. We go to work. It's interesting, the fact that we go to work, we don't stay to work, we go outside of ourselves to do our work, and this is something I find quite unusual and quite normal. It's funny what abnormal practices or sort of contrary to our nature practices happen in the world, and because they are done en masse, they become normal, if not natural. And so we have a world of work where, stuff needs to be done, and people do it, but a lot of what is happening now is we're just inviting meaninglessness into our lives by doing menial tasks. And if we are the creative consciousness of the universe, choosing what it is, all power, all consciousness choosing what it is, well, is it good enough for you to choose to enter data into a computer all your life? Is that good enough? Is that the image of life that you want to create? And you can argue, you have to survive. Of course you have to survive, but can you not be creative about it? Of course you can, because you are the creative energy. It's just when we choose not to embrace our creative side, usually because we don't trust the value of our true self. We trust external mechanisms. We trust external organisations that have established themselves, regardless of however meaningless they may be. We trust them, and we surrender our creative capacity to somebody else's creative capacity. Because we don't trust ourselves. When we don't trust ourselves, because we don't know who we are. So as long as we don't know who we are, we end up doing someone else's work, which creates a poverty of spirit within us, because spirit is running through you, however difficult it may be to hear, it is running through you, telling you to do what you do, to be who you are. And that's all there is. That is the be yourself. It is the most simple and yet the most difficult thing in the world, to be yourself. That is the whole journey, the journey of exploring yourself, to be yourself, to know yourself, to express yourself, to come back to yourself. So a lot of this one is stuff I've written down that I want to share. So work. We go to work. Work and play are integral parts of who you are. It is not a going somewhere else. It is being what you are, and as an extension of that, doing what you do. Come on guys, we can do better than this. We are gods. We are the feeling, sensing tendrils of God, of consciousness. We are the feeling, sensing tendrils of pure life, of pure essence, that same energy of creative source. We are the tendrils of that creative source. We are that creative source. In spirit there is no difference between us and that source, no distance. We are one and the same. It's like we said before, we may be the product of spirit, but to spirit there's only oneness. So the product of spirit is spirit, and spirit is the product of spirit. There's just one, and we are it. Extensions and the whole, one and the same, one spirit. Don't wait for life, you are it. There is one, you are it. Your aspect of life you are exploring is the only aspect of life there is to your experience, and each person only has their experience. This is the perspective through which consciousness is looking out. And if we deny that in ourselves, we deny consciousness in its entirety, because Seeing that there is only one is seeing that you are consciousness seeing, and consciousness sees through you, not anybody else. Yeah, in time-space experience, everybody is this. But everybody is custodian of creative consciousness. And no one person can deny that and let anyone else do it for them. That's not how it works. Life has to be enacted through life, and we are each all life. And it is happening at the stage you are at, as it needs to, for you to grow deeper into it, deeper and deeper into love, deeper into yourself, deeper into the self you are. So your work, in a sense, is your karma. Your work is what you need to do to uncover your true self. And that means putting right misunderstandings that have led to certain experiences that perpetuate misunderstanding. Your work is on yourself, and thus the world, because the world is seen through the filters of yourself. Your work is on yourself, and thus the world. We are the world. The life we see lived. This is our life, our world. The product of our imagination, made manifest for us to see. So it's the product of each of our imaginations, which is the product of imagination. It's the product of each of our lives, which is the product of life. The product of our imagination made manifest for us to see, to look again, to choose again who we are. So if we don't like what we create, we don't like what we see around us, don't perpetuate it. Just because it's there, just because it's established, doesn't mean you have to go along with it. If we don't like what we create, we have the choice, create anew. Always, each moment is this choice, because each moment is all there is. Here and now is all there is. One life, here and now, you are it. Maybe yourself is deeper and broader than you can imagine. And so, yeah, where altruism and selfishness become the same. This is amazing. Like, if we can expand our idea of self to include the interests of everyone else, because there is ultimately to spirit no one else, because it is just one, then helping another is helping ourselves, and helping ourselves is helping another. So this takes a real leap in understanding of self, from limited to all consciousness. And if we can't make that leap, then we can't see that self-interest can be the same as altruism. You know, it's like it's the same mechanism when you see it all as one. Maybe yourself is deeper and broader than you can imagine, where altruism and selfishness, it doesn't have to be selfish, it's just like self-interest. Maybe that may be seen as selfishness, but it doesn't have to have the negative connotation that it often has in the world, which stops people from expressing what they're here to express. They're told they're selfish if they follow their own light. You know, it's like, and this is how we're kept locked in something less than ourselves. We're told that our dreams are foolish. We're told that life can't possibly be as beautiful as our imaginings, and of course it can, because life is the extension of our imaginings. But as our faith in our own imaginings is eroded, we succumb to the imaginings of something much less. And you can blame it on external conditioning, but you can also blame it on yourself, because you are what adopts that external conditioning. So as long as we're seeking to blame outside, we're missing the point. What we're doing, and we're not blaming ourselves either, we're not getting into cycles of doubt, we're seeing ourselves, seeing our mechanisms, seeing how we can change for the better. So maybe yourself is deeper and broader than you can imagine, where altruism and self-interest become one and the same. And if you don't get that, like I say, it may be deeper and broader than you can imagine. So where is your imagining? Is your imagining coming from a sense of limitation or a sense of boundlessness? Boundlessness is what allows all of it. In boundlessness you can choose limitation if you wish. That can be your choice. But in boundlessness you can also choose boundlessness. But imagine we must, and elevated and grounded must be our imagination, because we are the spectrum of consciousness from the spiritual source to the manifest physical expression, the manifest mental expression, the manifest mind, like the manifest world. So we must be grounded and elevated because we are this whole spectrum. We cannot deny any part of ourselves. We are the whole spectrum. From spirit through all organic life forms to everything, every organic, everything organic is a product of spirit. And so we have to see the whole picture. But we have to know where we can choose from, where we can make the changes. We cannot change the whole picture from a piece of the picture, i.e. from an organic fragment of manifest spirit. We can only change the whole picture by returning to the picture maker, by returning to the consciousness that creates it all, which is the consciousness within ourselves. Consciousness that is ourselves creating. What do you choose to create? What would love choose to create? What would you most like to create? And why create anything else? It's like this is a world of pure possibility, and yet somewhere along the line we forget that, and we the sense of possibility gets drawn in and shut down. It's like and this again is where it comes back to us, back to our own responsibility to see what is possible. You can do what anyone else can do, and anyone else can do what you can do. And yet, in terms of the possibilities, and yet nobody else can have your experience of consciousness. You have a particular frequency of consciousness that doesn't exist anywhere else, which is based upon all your past experiences, age-old experiences, impressions that have created a certain frequency of consciousness that is you. And this certain frequency of consciousness has particular ideas, has particular qualities, has particular talents which nobody else has. And so why would we deny these? Why would we deny these? You are the only person who can express your particular aspect of consciousness, which is an aspect of the whole. And you're not expressing it just for your individual need. The whole universe is willing you to express this. The whole universe wants you to be who you are, because the whole universe wants to be itself, and you are that. You are an extension of the universe, and you are that universe. The world, so our choices must be elevated, really connected to the spiritual essence, and grounded here on earth, made manifest, spirit and material together. Because the world is the product of our imagination, of consciousness dreaming what it is. Consciousness dreaming what it is, of you dreaming what you are. And you are consciousness dreaming what it is. It can seem quite circular, but that's because it is. Okay, so stuff I wrote down just now to share. So what works for you is what works for others, so long as you are being honest with yourself about who you are. So there's no shame in following your own way. If you're being honest with yourself in terms of your most elevated version of self, then you're doing things that will have a positive effect on others. You know, it's like a case of trusting yourself. And to trust yourself, you have to know what you're trusting. You have to have faith in what you're trusting, and that is, again, it's self-fulfilling. You trust yourself, the more trust you invest in yourself. So it might, at first, just mean, following up on an inclination to read a certain book, trusting your impulse to do so. And as we trust our impulses, they gather, and we become more wholly trusting of ourselves. So, like I said, your only connection is here and now. Your only connection to life is here and now. So it's not like we can sacrifice that and live. We have to see that. So this connection to life, we are here and now. We can't neglect this and think we are helping anyone else. We can't neglect this and think we are helping ourselves. Because the way we help everyone else is by living the aspect of consciousness that we are, that is an integral part of the whole that everyone else is. So what we do contributes to the whole as other people contribute to the whole. What do you want to contribute? Bringing the focus back in. So this is what we need to do first of all. So we bring the focus back in to find out who we are, so that we can extend out from ourselves, out from that source into the world. Bring the focus back in so you can shine the light of consciousness from the inside out. You are that light shining. You can't shine from anywhere else. So you can't shine from over there, back there, over there. You can only shine from the inside out, from yourself, which is all there is. You can't shine from anywhere else but where you are. So where is yourself? Where you are. It is here and now. And only you can shine with what you have to shine. You have to shine in two ways. What you have, what is within you to shine, and what you have to shine, what you must shine. Not because someone tells you to, but it's because it's the impulse of consciousness that needs to know itself, which is the whole journey happening through you. We can't shine consciousness for anyone else, nor can anyone else shine what we have to shine as we can shine it. Trust your aspect of the whole, follow that. Following it, it will open up to oneness. Well, you might not think it will. Trust it, see what happens. Trust yourself. There's nothing else to trust. Oneness, so we can be, well, you need to follow that for yourself to see where it leads. But what I'm saying here is oneness is what we are. We can be oneness, or we can be lost in an identification, an investment in something else. So if we don't think we are one, having an experience, we will invest ourselves in something less and become something less as a result of our investment, which is the investment of consciousness choosing what it is. So you see how it is. It's like you are it choosing. There is nothing else. Even the separation seen truly is oneness. Oneness in experience, in experiential form. 1 to 2 to 2 to 1. We are that divine singularity. For what else is there? It's all that, or an aspect of that, but it's all that. You are the same creative energy of the source. Do you invest it in something other than itself, other than yourself? Like a lesser image of itself, a lesser image of yourself, less than full of itself, i.e. an aspect of separation of time and space, which is disconnected from the whole? Or do you invest it in what it is, in itself, in yourself, here and now, and then the aspect of time and space, can be connected, can be elevated, can be grounded, can be love. So time and space, separation, love can be in that, love can be infused in that, but only when love is seen as the source of that separation, and when the purpose of that separation is seen as coming back to love. Then we infuse the created world with the love of the Creator. So you take responsibility for yourself by seeing yourself, knowing yourself, and living from that perspective, living from that point of oneness. You don't need to do it in the world, not primarily. You need to do it in and through and as yourself. And as we do that, because for a time and for a space we are in the world, it has a knock-on effect in the world. And this is what I mean, like, know yourself as spirit, and then the spiritualization of the world happens through our actions. But actions happen as an impulse from the source, as a result of being who we are. Being comes before doing. So long as we're lost in doing, forgetting to be, we are missing the point of who we are. So you don't need to do it in the world, not primarily. You need to do it in and through and as yourself. And seeing that, you come into the world as yourself. You are not dependent on the world. You don't need the world to give you anything, but you have something to give to the world. You're not dependent on the world, but how you live in it has the effect of lighting the way back to love for yourself and for everyone else. Oneself. We are the perpetrators of separation, inequality and suffering until we see the broader truth of who we are. So it's the seeing which determines the seen. It's the seer that determines the seen. The level of our consciousness seeing is what we bring into being. It's like what you see as in your self-interest depends on what you see as yourself. This is why we have to see ourselves clearly. Because if we have a limited conception of self, what we see as in the interest of that self is limited. If we have an elevated, more accurate conception of self, then it goes without saying, right, that we create this, we see this, we are this. True self-interest is in the interest of the true self, and the true self, oneness you are. So what is your work in the world? Surely it's to come back to truth, to self, to love. And I mean, this isn't done in any particular way. This is done in whatever way you choose. And maybe this is exactly what's happening in the world right now. Maybe. But maybe we've lost our way. And we only know that for ourselves. We only know if we're being true to who we are for ourselves. No one else can really know for us, because one person being true to themselves looks one way, another person being true to themselves looks another way. One person's innate drive may be to be a mathematician, another person's innate drive may be to be a artist, it's like but it's all consciousness choosing. Doesn't mean it chooses the same for each one of us. Each one of us has their own way, own impulse. Work in the world is so funny. We all go to work somewhere else again. We drag ourselves off to serve someone else's cause. Maybe we don't, but this is what it seems sometimes. And yes, it's all one, but not in separation as separation only. And this system is separation, serving separate interests, the interests of separation. How many jobs are there that are there to elevate the good of all? There's most jobs, they're looking out for a limited interest. So serving separate interests is serving the interests of separation. It's keeping the separation in place, and we need that for our experience. There comes a point, and this is only relevant if that point has come for you, where there's not enough anymore to be separate, and we need to reintegrate back to life, back to love. Doing other people's work we don't believe in, it's like it's self-effacing in a way. And does it make us happy? No, because our happiness is not in separation. Our happiness is in oneness reflected and experienced in the separation. We need to get closer to truth, don't we? If we're suffering a lack of meaning, we need to get back to meaning, and that is in seeing ourselves clearly. Otherwise we're not looking, or we're looking the other way, and it's easy to do, because this is what the world does. It's habitual, it's collective habit. We're comfortable in our lack, we're used to it, it's the norm. No drive to see true self is no drive to get out of that rut. If separation is your God, you will continue serving it. That's fine, it's a choice. But what do you choose? What do you choose? And this is not an instruction, this is kind of what I feel for myself, and it's like, I'm going to say it. Choose life, choose essence, that is the choice. It's not struggle or death. Like we have this idea as a separate self, we have to struggle, otherwise I won't survive and I'll die. Well actually, that struggling, that seeing self as limited and weak is death in itself. It's the view of death which doesn't see the life of spirit. It doesn't see that spirit sustains what serves it. It's disconnected from that. And spirit does sustain what serves it. Spirit protects what serves it. Because spirit is what you are aligning to when you are aligning to spirit. It's like, how can you not be protected in oneness? Oneness is all there is, and that's all you are. You are protected. Choose life, choose essence. That is the choice. It's not struggle or death. It's the death struggle or life. And life is the only choice. Life is the ultimate choice. What is your work? Is it the opposite of your play? So we live in the separation, in the duality. We sort of knock about like that game of pong or ping, whatever it's called, where you're just batting from one side to the next. It's like table tennis. You're not going anywhere. You're just one duality, other duality, one side, other side. So what is your work? Is it the opposite of your play? I.e., are you locked in a duality that gets nowhere? It just bashes from one to the other. Or does it get somewhere? Is it connected on that vertical axis of spirit to matter? Or is it just horizontal, disconnected from spirit? You know, it's like the sign of the cross, the two together. We need the two to be here and now fully who we are. So what is your work? Is it the opposite of your play, or are your work and play the same thing? So this is integration. It's making what what's the phrase? Love what you do and do what you love. That's the integration of work as life, and life as work, because life is our work, life is our play. This is what it's all about. But as you follow yourself and follow your own dreams, you are following love. Love is dreaming. You are dreaming love. You are love dreaming. Aligning your dream to love and making that your work. That is what brings love into the world. People living it. So people knowing who they are and living who they are. What does love seek to share in the world? Or what does love seek to share in you? What does love seek to share through you? What do you seek to share? What do you seek to share? What are you here for? You know it. You feel it. Your soul is speaking it through you. Even if it's just a whisper, until you hear it, until you acknowledge it, until you move with it. And as you do so, then it gathers energy. Then it becomes the driving force. Because what gathers energy is what we give attention to, because attention, consciousness, is all there is. So what we give consciousness to is the route consciousness takes. So where are you putting your life energy? In what are you putting your life energy, and what for? You know, put your life energy in life, for life. This is what it's all about. And then life opens up to itself. So we have a choice. We can put it simplistically. It's fear, separation, lockdown, or love, opening up, expansion. And we contain all of it, depending on, what time, what space. We express and explore and learn through all of it. We contain all of it. But you are ultimately creative consciousness. Create as you will. You are doing that anyway. So we each have responsibility to do what we need to contribute to the whole that we are. No one else can do it for us, because there is no one else. No one else. There is only one. And if oneness is total, which it is, there can be nothing outside of oneness. And so we are oneness affirming itself. Whatever we affirm for ourselves, we become that, because we are oneness in becoming, being in becoming, to return back to being. Whatever we affirm for ourselves, we become that. It is a choice of direction. We are the creative power of the universe choosing, and this is our choice. To be this. Highest choices, follow your highest choices. Uncover them through self-inquiry, self-exploration. Follow your highest choices. And for each person it may well be different, but it's being elevated. Be elevated to see the elevation that you are. Your work is your understanding of who you are. Your work is not just to keep the separation ticking over, although that may be a part of it. Your work is to see the whole and be it. Your work is to see the whole and be it, however you want to be. And maybe it's happening already.